It's
That'd be the kind of stuff like when I was in WWE that I would have hated just because of my competitive spirit and competitive
right.
nature. Anybody that was getting TV time that I wasn't, or getting more money than I was, or whatever. It just all seemed, unfair. But it is the kind of business where if you really feel like that, you can say something about it, and you might get somewhere. You can go to town, you can say, "Hey, I think I should get more money because this or that," and it might take you somewhere. But you got to have the balls to do that too, and that's a whole other game to play, because it's a lot easier to just go around and be like, "Man, they don't do things right."
Yeah, right. Was there apprehension when you first got to WWE to be like, all right, I'm just gonna kind of like play it out, see how it goes, and then did you finally reach a point where it's like, you know what, I am gonna speak up about something like this? Was that a certain motivation point, or did you kind of always have that mindset even going into WWE at the time?
Well, for me, my very first in 2001 when I signed the contract, um, my very first show live event that I went to in Atlanta, and I worked Johnny Stramboli.
Yep.
Yeah, we had a match, and when I got paid for that very first match, I went right to the guy in charge of financing, because he was the guy that I met with before I signed the WWE contract, and that was JR. And so I went to him because he's the one that was telling me about the money I was going to make. And I'm like, "What's this $500? I'm not a $500 wrestler." I said, I'll, add another zero on that. That's what I was making before I came here to WWF, like WTF, WWF.
So you weren't afraid to speak up right away about stuff like that then.
Right. But looking back at it, I definitely, could have kept doing that later on. But after a while, it seemed like part of me resented that I would have to, which is probably stupid, but that's how I felt, like kind of like, man, don't you see everyone out there with RVD signs? Don't you hear them screaming RVD? Because sometimes they made me feel like I didn't have the value that maybe I really did, or maybe I would have needed to feel like I did in order to have the balls to go in there and say, "Hey, I should get more money," or something like that. I should get better treatment. Because sometimes, I swear, just sometimes all it would take in my head, and a lot of wrestlers will tell you, they do this on purpose, man. It's control. And I'm not going to, shove that all down your throat right now. But I will tell you that sometimes just showing up to work and then having them tell you their plans of what they all got together and met with and decided was a great idea to get their best time out of you that day. Sometimes you would get so offended that you wouldn't feel too valuable in their minds, like
Right.
a lot of times it was promos, a lot of times it was putting over wrestlers that I did not think I should be putting over. A lot of times it was just feeling like I'm meat for somebody else to get over, or I'm just part of someone else's storyline tonight, and there was so much of that I personally was just like, they must not think very much of me or see in me what the fans see in me. And there probably is a lot of truth to that. And maybe that's why I'm on my couch right now. Maybe that is true, because maybe the guy in charge right now of talent could be of that state of mind. But either way, it never, ever let my ego feel so big that I thought I wasn't expendable.
Right.
You never would have heard me say, they got rid of me. Me. They fired me. Can you believe that? I know, right? Never. I never felt like that was even possible. Even
Yeah.
though everyone had an RVD sign. Everybody. And they would always tell me, like, "Man, you got the loudest pops of the night in this town, this town." That was something I would hear a lot. Probably not every wrestler gets to hear that kind of feedback,
Sure. Yeah. No.
And during all of that, Sometimes it would just be like, hey, you're going up there with so and so, 4 minutes. Put him over with his shitty finish.
With this shitty finish. But no, that's cool that you were able to keep that in perspective a lot of the times because like you are a star and like getting the reception that you would get like week in and week out from the crowds and everything like that had to be reassuring and stuff. But to be like, hey, I'm part of the system here and anything could happen. The shoe could drop at any point. And it's great to have that perspective because it
I
kind of
guess. I mean, that's what worked for me. But if you
sure.
look at some of the other guys, like I don't know, say CM Punk, that's been so vocal and doing the pipe bomb promos, and then leaving and doing all the promos, interviews, getting personal, saying they fired me on my wedding day because they wanted to stick it to me. Boom, boom, boom. Look at someone like that. That what do they do? Give them the top fucking pay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm just saying, for me, for my spirit, and it's great to have that universal perspective and know that in the big ocean of life, I'm merely a drop at best. I mean, that is important for me for my inner balance. But in that kind of a business, could also probably hold me back.
Yeah, to an extent, I think. Yeah, there's certainly a balance, I think, to thinking in that way. A lot of
What if I would have went when I was super over and ECW was there and said, "Boom, we need to be doing this, or I need to be getting this. I want to fucking this in my contract." Who knows? I don't know. I mean, it's not me, and I used to laugh at some of the guys that did it, but then looking back at it, like really, who's laughing more? Me because that's not the old school way of doing business. You should be good enough to earn your spot instead of demanding it in your contract. Or the guy that got the spot, that got paid. Who's laughing more?
Yeah, right, right. Well, Sabu, when we had him on as a guest, he mentioned too. I was like, "What's the big thing that the Sheik taught you that you take away from?" And he was like, "Always stick to who you are," kind of thing. And like that kind of he mentioned about that, and he was talking about like, hey, the opportunity that he had to go in the WWE and he didn't decide to do it, and like they did, who knows what would have happened and stuff like that. So keeping to that kind of structure and stuff like that. Do you think you kind of learned that mentality too from the Sheik in a lot of ways?
I think that because I have the Sheik's old school foundation, what he brought to my perspective of this whole new world when I was just getting into it, he taught me how to look at things forever.
Mm-hmm.
Like he pointed me in the right direction, and then just because I was at that stage, his teachings and perspective would affect the way that I take in all information forward because he prepared me for what was ahead of me. So that's really awesome. As far as what myself and Sabu have in mind, or I mean have together. You said that he said you always have to be yourself. Is that what he said?
Yeah, basically, he said something that I'm paraphrasing, but it was
Right.
to the effect of like,
That guy, once you get him talking, you can't shut him up.
just keep going.
um, yeah, I mean that's important for me as a person, So that's it. It's all perspective, Business wise, maybe not the best, but spirit wise, there's a lot of things, That's why people only know the image of me. That's what inspired them in their life, and a lot of people, since they only know the image of RVD, they would make decisions way different than I would. Same thing with Sabu or whatever, like, uh, maybe they would say, man, RVD should have retired 10 years ago. And then he'd be, and then we would always think of him as being, but even think that that's evidence that they don't know the real person, and to them the image, the reputation, the way that other people see that person is way more important to them, of course, because they're not that person.
Yeah.
That person still has to go through his life every day and make decisions, on what to do, where to be, how to do it. So that's something that fans and basic thinkers won't realize unless right now they get it because I'm pointing it out, and then I go, "Oh, okay, yes, that's true."
That's what you got to know.
Yeah, but fact of life, though.
Back to life. Hey,
Right.
another fact here is we have over 100 people here live tuning in on
Whoa,
YouTube.
I need to look at the comments.
Yeah, so guys, if you want to get some feedback or question in for Rob, we're making this a shorter episode, but get in a super chat, help out the podcast, show some support.